Hey, how you doing? Since starting this YouTube channel, I've had some really nice conversations with some of you and some questions as well. So I wanted to answer the question that came up like 5 times just in the last week, and it was, how do you make money with the art? How do you make money as an artist? I will tell you this, that I am not the expert on this, but I do make money with the art, so I will share how I do it. I will also say that there are other groups you might want to go to. SVS Learn is one. That's kind of what they do, is they help artists learn their craft and then also give them instruction on how to use that craft and get employment with it. So let me start. I'm going to talk into the camera, and I'm going to take this recording and then later on put B-roll under it. I hope I can do that. But I wanted to answer the questions. So let me start with myself first. I guess I consider myself a freelance artist. That simply means I don't work for anybody. It means I'm my own boss. And it also means that, the money can come if I work, and the money won't come if I don't work. There's no slacking off as a freelance artist. Or you could consider me a for-hire artist. But let me go into all these things. So real quickly, I worked at a regular job all my life. I retired from regular work in 2020, January of 2020. So it's been 4 years now. And the job I held for most of my life was in radio. I was a broadcaster. I was, just what I did. Nothing big time. It was small town radio, but all along in that whole time, everything, I was working as a broadcaster. I worked as an activities director. I worked at a newspaper. I worked in factories when I was younger. Probably some jobs I'm just not remembering. Delivered furniture. I pretty much have done all those things that most people do. But there was always art. I was always doing art. I remember when I first moved to Florida. I was 17 years old. My family moved to Florida from New York. And my art skills were noticed right away by the school. And I was asked to paint a 50 or 55 gallon drum to look like a can of beer with the school's mascot on it, which was a tiger. So it was called, it looked like a can of Budweiser. That's what it looked like. But the idea was that I was hired. They didn't pay me. So I was asked to paint, to use my art skills. So this has been the way it's been for me for a long time. When I say I worked from, when I was maybe 14 all the way up until, 4 years ago, when I would have been 64, there were some gaps. And when the gaps happened, I would do art, and art would pay the bills. And I'm not saying it was easy, but it's what I did. So when I retired, I thought, well, I can just do art again, just like I did when I was younger. So now let me cut to the chase. Well, first I want to say one thing, kind of a comical thing. My dad, we used to watch when there was a game show on TV, and the host would say to the contestant, so what do you do for a living? And the contestant would say, well, I'm a freelance, fill in the blank. I'm a freelance photographer. I'm a freelance artist. I'm a freelance whatever. My dad would always say, that means he's unemployed. That means he doesn't have a job. The word freelance means not employed. My dad was a funny guy. And he's in heaven right now watching me as a freelance artist. And the truth is, I don't have a boss. So I guess I'm not employed. But at the same time, I am making money. And that's why you're watching this video, right? Okay. So enough chit chat. So let me tell you how I've done it, and how I have done it, and how I do it, okay? So there's two things. One thing I used to do, which I don't do anymore. I used to, again, when I had downtime, I was out of the radio world for like 3 years. So I had to figure out a way to what to do. And I used to sketch, quick sketch portraits in the resorts around the theme parks here in Florida, Universal and Disney specifically. And basically I sat in the lobby of a resort and with an easel, with a pen, with a charcoal and a pad, and I would draw their faces, a little thing. I did not do caricatures. I didn't do the big nose, the big teeth. I did what I would have done, like when you're doing an actual portrait, you do sketches first. So the quick sketch that you do in a kind of a display like that is basically the first sketch that you would do if you were doing a portrait. And I would always tell them that. I would always tell them, I'm not doing a caricature. I'm not going to give you a big nose. I'm going to try to get your likeness as well as I can. And I would give myself a 95% of the time I got the likeness. Not always. And it depended on how fatigued I was. Sometimes I'd be sitting there for hours, and after a while, it's just, you just lose it. You just don't want to do it anymore, and you're ready to be done. And there was always a line. So I remember at that time, you were asking about money, right? At that time, I was charging $15, and this was in the 90s, okay? So whatever $15 is worth today. So $15, and it would take me 15 minutes. So basically, I was making $1 a minute, okay? That's not bad. That's like $60 an hour. That's even good today, right? And that's what I did. And I would leave sometimes with more money than I made at my job. And I often would say to myself, why am I even looking for a job? Because I was always looking for another radio job. But anyway, so that's what I did. That's one way I did it. Another way I did it was with commissioned artwork. Now I want to clarify the difference between commissioned artwork and like commercial artwork. So commissioned artwork would be like somebody comes to me and says, hey, can you do a portrait of my dog? Can you do a portrait of my family? Can you do a portrait of my grandmother? A portrait, okay? And what I did back in those days was I typically would do portraits using soft pastels on velour paper. And I never knew what to charge. And some of the people who would ask me were friends or co-workers from another job, whatever. So I would always go for the $350, whatever it is. It can be big. It can have 7 people in it, and or it can be one little chihuahua. I would always ask for $350, and nobody seemed to mind. So that was a good thing. And again, this was years ago. I don't do that anymore. I think the pressure to capture a likeness is something I didn't really like. I like the freedom that I have now to, I can draw or sketch or paint a face of, let's say, the lady playing baseball that I just did. It doesn't have to look like the reference photo. I'm not trying to do a likeness. So anyway, so there's one way. So the two ways I've told you about so far are the sketching for, I guess, just for like a theme park or something, and then the actual portraits that people would commission me for. So the third one I want to talk about is commercial work. Commercial work is when somebody comes to me and says, Larry, we're thinking about opening up I'll give you an example, a camp. We're going to open a camp, and we need some like artists rendering of what that camp might look like. So I'll sit with them, and they'll give me some rough sketches, and I'm going to put some B-roll in here so you can see one of the ones I did. And that's commercial work. You're not going to hang that on a wall anywhere. It's probably not even going to be in a book anywhere. It's just they have it so that they can show it at their fundraisers. They can put it up on an easel and say, hey, this is what it's going to look like. And so that's commercial work. Other commercial work would be, for example, Um, I had a job one time. I know it sounds weird, drawing pen and ink cows, and I made $100 just doing a few cows. So there's a dollar amount there. The commercial work. What the best thing I can tell you about what to charge for commercial work is keep a record of your hours and come up with a dollar amount that you want per hour. Every commercial venture is somebody with money. They're investing it in something, and they're coming to you as the artist to create whatever they're asking for. And if they come to you and they say, can you draw a stick figure? Yeah, I can draw a stick figure. Okay, well, how much you can charge me for the stick figure? Okay, well, what do you think? There, you're done. Okay, how much would you charge for that? I don't know, $25, just because you can't get nothing, right? But at the same time, if you're doing an elaborate piece where you're showing many different things and you're creating a setting, like in some of these pictures I'm showing you right now, you definitely have to come up with a dollar amount per hour. So if, let's say you say you're worth what somebody at McDonald's gets $15 an hour, so you say you're worth more than that, right? You're worth maybe $20 an hour. So use that formula. And if they're asking you to do commercial art, they have money, they're investing it in the things that they are investing in. They're going to use your art as a way to generate investors into what they're doing. And so there you go, there's the commercial art. I told you about commissioned art, commercial art. Commissioned art, by the way, also can include landscapes. It doesn't very often happen, but I've had a couple of examples where somebody would say, could you give me a landscape of the ocean or whatever? I actually can't think of an example like that. But so the next one is illustrating for things. A thing would be an album cover, a CD cover. I've done some of them. Let me see if I can find one to show you. If you're seeing it, then I found it. Illustrating children's books. I've done a lot of children's books. I've done children's books that I myself have written or co-written with my partner Robin, and I've done illustrations for children's books that other people have written, and those are also, I guess you would say, commercial art. But if you wrote the book and you're going to self-publish the book, then that's cool too, because you're investing your time and your talent into something that will pay you money, what they call passive income, where people will buy the book forever. You know, if it's on Amazon or something, they'll keep buying the book, and Amazon will keep sending you money. That's not a bad thing. It's always a good thing. And then there's wall art. Wall art. I love wall art. It's the opportunity to just have fun. It's the opportunity to create a landscape. This was a watercolor I did recently. I don't know if you watched the video, but that's the watercolor, and that's wall art. So you can take that, put it in a frame, mat it up, make it look really nice, hang it on the wall. Let me show you something else. All right, so if you're doing digital wall art, you can take that digital file, there's the back of it, and then you can have it printed. Can you see that? So you take the digital file, like you see me do on Procreate, and I painted this on Procreate. This is a digital piece of artwork. I had it printed at Walgreens. On the back of it, you'll see Robin made a certificate of authenticity. I signed it. So this becomes a valuable piece of art. It's framed, it's tangible, you can hang it on the wall. All right. So that wall art, try to put it away. That wall art sells for $1 a square inch. The reason it's only $1 is because it's a file. You create the file, a very high resolution file on your iPad or on your laptop, whatever, on your computer or your Cintiq, and then you have it printed, and then you sell the actual print. In this case, it's all ready to go. So you multiply 16 by 20. In that case, that's a 16 by 20. I'm sorry, I don't know the math here. Let's see, 10 by 20 is 200. 6 by 20 is 120. So it's 320. So that'd be $320 for that. But there's a frame on it too. You paid for that frame from Walgreens, and you paid Walgreens to print it. So now that $320, that's the price you're going to get for your work. And then you might want to add for the frame. So you make it $400, let's say, bring it up to $400 or $450. You can always calm down. You can always say to somebody who wants to buy it, if they're giving you a hard time. But if they really want it, this is a piece of art. It's got a certificate of authenticity. That's for the printed ones from files. Now, if you do one on an actual canvas, this is one I did some time ago. This is acrylic. It's not a digital file. It's the actual painting. You better ask for $3 a square inch on that one. All right? So what did I say? It was $320. So then multiply that by 3, and now you have $960. So round it up to 1,000, or round it down to $950, whatever you want. But don't sell yourself short. Use that formula: $1 a square inch if it's a print or whatever. But use the square inch method. That's what I'm getting at here. Another way that you can make money is by selling merchandise with your art on it. Now, how do you do that? Well, I don't do it. I use 3 different companies that do this. I use something called Redbubble, and you upload your art and they will put it on everything. Greeting cards, shirts, handbags, mouse pads, whatever. They put it on everything. So I use Redbubble. I use ArtPal. ArtPal is very good. They have really nice prints, kind of like the one from Walgreens. And they will print if you have an original art that you've taken a high quality photograph of, you can have that photograph printed as art on any of them. So you have ArtPal. And by the way, I'm only telling you the 3 I use. There are others. There's a bunch of others. I don't know all the names. But so I use ArtPal, I use Redbubble, and then I use Fine Art America, which is also called pixels.com. So Fine Art America is kind of like the granddaddy of them all, where I send the art to them, I upload it. They sell prints, they sell framed prints, they sell metal prints, they sell paper prints, all kinds of prints. And then they also sell the merchandise. The way you make money from these 3 companies is by adding your profit to it. So they have a cost, and then you say, okay, well, every time you sell one, I want to make, and you see, there's either a dollar amount you add to it or a percentage that you add to it, okay? And sometimes, for example, a greeting card, I don't know if you saw, I did a bunch of greeting cards during the Christmas season, and I uploaded those also. So I gave the original greeting card to my family, my friends, and a photo of the greeting card was then uploaded to those 3 places. And we've had several sales, even though Christmas is past. We're still getting some sales on those things on Redbubble, Fine Art America, and Redbubble, Fine Art America, and what was I going to say? Oh, ArtPal. Look into it. There are others who do it too. So there you go. I think those are that's everything I have to share with you today. I appreciate the conversations. I appreciate the questions. But I did want to answer those questions about how I make money as an artist. Now, how I don't make money as an artist is also worth looking into. It's nothing I've ever done. But I know some people who've done this. So let me just touch on those things. If you will indulge me, when I was younger, I was in art class in high school, and we were in New York, and they were basically grooming us to be commercial artists working on Madison Avenue for advertising agencies. So that kind of work still exists. There still is a need for artists to actually be employed at a company, and you're basically sitting there all day long and drawing and painting and probably using digital art and in different ways. So I know several people who are animators. They work for like Disney and Paramount. I know people who work with those companies. They're not animators, but they do environments or background pictures, and it's unbelievable. When you watch a movie, sometimes you think you're watching astronauts on the moon or something like that. It's not. It's a painting. It's just unbelievable. So you can look into that. Laura Price is one who I admire a lot. Nathan Fowlkes is another one who is outstanding. And you can look into them. If you're a young person and you're going to school and you have an art teacher, talk to the art teacher about the jobs that are out there where you're not freelance, where you're actually working for a salary. There's the movie studios. You know who else is the video game people? They are always looking for artists. I would be careful though. I would be careful because I get email all the time, and some of them are offering, to help with something, and they're going to pay me, and I don't think they're legit. You have to really vet. I like that word, vet. You have to use your common sense and do a little research and ask around and find out before you get taken. There's one more that just came to mind. If you've ever seen Fiverr, Fiverr, Fiverr is good, but there are people who abuse it. So on Fiverr, that's where you basically advertise that you're available as an artist. Okay, perfect, right? It's not Fiverr's fault that there are people out there who are unscrupulous. But when you create art or anything else on command or on demand, painting on demand, there will be always somebody who wants it for free. Always wants it for free. There's always somebody who wants it for free. I can't say that enough. And so what'll happen is they will say, send me just a quick idea of what you would do, but don't charge me. Just show me, because I don't want to hire you unless you send me something. And they'll use what you send them. You can put a watermark on it, but people can remove watermarks. People can adjust whatever you do. So you got to be careful with people. I guess the only other thing was, if you live in a town that has its own newspaper or magazine, you might want to contact them and see if you could either work for them directly or as a freelancer. And I've talked for 24 minutes. I don't want to make this too long, so I guess I'll end it here. Hopefully that helped you. I am not the biggest authority on this, but those are the ways that I've done it, and a couple of formulas that I've used. So anyway, hopefully this helps. And next video, I'll be painting something or whatever. I got my coffee. All right, see you later.